Welcome, viewers. Today we have the founder of Log9 Materials with us. He is Akshay Singhal. Welcome to the show, Akshay.
Thanks, Arushi, for having us here. And so I'll start briefly about if you look at Log9, as I mentioned, it's primarily a nanotechnology and material science company. And we focus on developing technologies for filtration and energy space. And two of our products are in the filtration space, primarily for containment of oil spills. So that's a subsidiary of Log9 now based in Mumbai. And we are supplying it to Indian refineries, ports, and also exporting it to shipping lines in Singapore, Hong Kong, and places like that. So that was one of our products. And now what the company is focused on is basically building new age energy solutions for electric vehicles. So it's an aluminum fuel cell that we are building since the last 18 months. And we have been extremely quick and cost effective also on that technology front as compared with our Israeli competitor, which took almost 7-8 years to reach to a stage where we are today. So that's the flagship product of the company, which will go into trials by the end of this year. Hopefully, if we are able to get out of the lockdown soon, otherwise early next year. Yeah, so basically that's what we do, and we have a team of around 60 people now, and 70 to 80% of that team comprises of scientists from various IITs, ISC, and other research institutes. So we have a very active technology team, product development team, and that's the reason we have been able to use that expertise available to us in house to come up with this product Corona O1 in less than 10 days.
Coming to the founding members of the team, do you want to talk about that for the benefit of young entrepreneurs, and to also understand how was your journey from, if you could just go a step back and talk about your journey from when you started off with this whole idea and how did that come about?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are three co-founders. I and Karthik are from IT Roorkee. So I did my bachelor's, like BTech in metallurgy and material sciences from IT Roorkee, and then did my PhD in nanotechnology from there itself. Karthik is a chemical engineer from Roorkee, graduating in 2017, and we started this company in 2015 with an idea that graphene is something which interests us, and that's the material we are will kind of take up in India and do a lot of research on that material and come up with products. So that was the idea. I started working in nanotechnology, particularly in my second year of BTech at IT Roorkee, and that started with my one of my grandfathers who was a scientist at NPL New Delhi. He was retired at that time, and then he decided to advise me and guide me into my journey on nanotechnology. So that's where it all started. And then in 2015, I met, by the end of 2015, I met Pankaj Sharma, who is the third co-founder. And he has been involved with bio-nanotechnology based stuff for the last 10 to 15 years. Built two companies around that, and one of the companies is developing a solution for brain cancer surgery. So that's the team, the founding team that we have.
At this point in time, due to the COVID crisis, how much has it affected your work as a team and also overall?
Oh, it has affected us a lot because unlike any other IT-based startup, we most of our work is physical work in the labs. The team has to get to the labs, do experimentation, do prototyping. So most of our work on the core project is completely affected. But we are happy that we have been able to develop a solution for this outbreak, and I think the team is gainfully engaged, working on that product, and we have been able to take it to market in the short time.
I see that you and Karthik are from the same institution and probably the same age group. Are you also classmates in your engineering?
No, so Karthik was 2 years junior to me in college, and as I mentioned, I was from metallurgy department. He was from chemical department. So, but we were friends in college, and we were involved in certain college groups and stuff.
How important is that to have a co-founder with whom you have some past association?
I think it's very important because unless and until you know the person, it is really difficult to take this journey forward. It's a tough journey. There are lots of ups and downs, and I always say that starting a company or starting a venture is like a marriage. So who you start with, it's of paramount importance that how far and long can you take it.
2015 you started. How has been the journey, between 2015 and 2020, both as an entrepreneur, as a company, and share us a little bit of ups and downs where at some stage you probably thought, what are we doing here?
Yeah, absolutely. So any startup journey has a lot of ups and downs, but particularly if you're trying to build a core technology, hardware-based venture in India, it's even more tough. So I would say it's 10 times tougher than building a app-based or a SaaS-based or something like that. So it's even more difficult because there are a lot of. So one thing is that not very many investors are looking at this kind of stuff. And then there is also a widespread, I would say, mindset in the Indian ecosystem that technologies are not built in India. So, okay, if it is built in Israel, if it is built in US, if it is built in Japan, it would be good. But people always receive technologies developed in India with skepticism. And I think that's although it's one of the downside, but it's also one of the factors that keeps me moving every day. That we have to break this conundrum and come on the other side. So I think that's one of the biggest challenges that we have faced in the last 5 years of existence. That not many people, and it's always the first comment that you will receive from someone who's looking at our work is that it is too good to be true to happen in India.
How did you overcome that particular challenge and sustain for so long, and also having attracted somebody like Sequoia Capital to invest into your startup?
So I think the only way to do that was to get someone from the US to validate what we are doing is right. So because when people only believe people sitting in the valley or in those parts of the world, then it's better that you get them to validate your technology and then give people in India confidence that what we are saying is authentic and it's correct.
So is that what you did? Sorry, is that what you did? Can you share?
Absolutely, that's what we did. So we got one of the individuals who was involved in the battery space for a long time, and he came on board. He validated us, saw our technology, spoke to us multiple times, and then gave a report saying that our tech is superior to the company in Israel, which has been building it for the past 7-8 years, and that gave Sequoia a lot of confidence that they can go ahead and partner with us on this journey.
Okay, now that's very interesting, though it's very unfortunate, but then that's interesting because a lot of companies in our interaction, we come across, a lot of startups we come across who are pretty much in the same state where they have built a technology, very few takers, Indian takers for the technology. And they also have the same thought that if they could get their idea of technology validated from outside. Now, can you discuss as to how do you approach somebody and talk to them, and what do you offer them for validating your technology? Because that would be very interesting for many of the young entrepreneurs and startups out there who would be listening to this.
So absolutely. So there are various ways you can do it. So what we did, there are basically certain companies out there. You can easily find them on Google and stuff, which basically connect you with the right experts. So there are companies out there which the whole purpose of that company is to connect you with the right expert. Or obviously, you end up paying significantly for those engagements. Luckily, in our case, Sequoia paid for that interaction. So we didn't have to take a brunt of that cost on our head. But there are companies which will connect with the right expert. Also, what I feel is that if there's a genuine guy and who's an expert, and if you even reach out to them on LinkedIn, they're happy to help.
Or typically, what would it cost for somebody to hire or get a validation from third parties, let's say based on Silicon Valley?
It can be anywhere between $500 to $2,000 per hour kind of an interaction. And so we would have spent, I think, at least 10 hours with that person during the validation phase. And that means basically $5,000 to $20,000 worth of interaction. And that's the kind of going rate in the market.
Which basically means is you got to be really sure about your technology because that is good about in today's conversion rate is about 10 to 14,000 10 to 14 lakhs.
Absolutely. You have to be sure, and you have to be willing. You have to be willing to take that kind of leap of faith because unless and until you are sure about it, how can anybody else be sure about what you're doing?
Great, very true, very true. I fully agree with you. Now coming back to, so you got your validation done, and then Sequoia was very happy or were convinced that this was a technology to invest into. What has been your journey thereafter, post the investment?
So it has been a pretty engaging journey thereafter. So we were part of the search program, which takes you to different parts of the world, and we meet with various ex-founders and other experts, trying to build our story right, trying to do the product development in the right way, and all of that stuff. So that's one part of the journey. And along with Sequoia, then there was Xfinity Ventures also, which invested in Log9. So both of the funds have been engaging with us, and then particularly if, as I mentioned, right now we are in the product development stage and optimizing technology for the aluminum fuel cell play. So there's a lot of groundwork that had to be done. So we have been doing bits and pieces before the investment happened, obviously because of the cash crunch. And once we had the cash, so it was all irons in the fire, and basically we were getting full blazing ahead. And so it was day in and day out of work, trying to build the prototype right, optimizing it, and getting it to a state where we can ship it out to the OEMs for them to do start field trials. So that's what the last 5-6 months have been for us.
So when it comes to your fuel cells trials, are you doing the trials with motor companies? I mean, as in 4-wheeler companies or 2-wheeler companies, or you're doing it on your own?
So basically, this fuel cell is like an engine, right? So whether you put in a vehicle or you use it as a power source for power backup. So first port of call for us in the market is as a stationary power source. So we are working with companies which produce this diesel generators and providing them an alternative to have a clean and completely noise-free solution for generating power backup. And that's those are the trials that will start first, and then moment we have 2-3 months of data on those trials, we'll start prototyping for a full-blown vehicle.
So when you say generators, are these the commercial generators that are used for power backup in apartments, restaurants, house, or these are smaller generators?
Yes, these are normal generators that you use in your house or restaurants and stuff, but the use case that we are going after is the telecom industry. Because there is a lot of pilferage that happens in that industry of diesel and everything, and because of that, the cost is very high. At the same time, there are a lot of noise issues. For example, if there is a telecom tower within the city limits and all of that. So we're targeting the telecom industry first and working with companies which deal with providing diesel generators to telecom towers. And so that's the way we're going ahead.
And how far are you from, or how much time would it take for your product to finish with trials and then go commercially?
So we are expecting another 6 to 9 months time for the trials, but we'll start setting up large scale manufacturing early next year. And so by the end of next year, we will have our product commercially deployed across multiple towers in India.
So would you be setting up your own manufacturing facility?
Yes, for this product, yes, because it's a highly sophisticated technology, and there are not other manufacturers who would be able to do it in the right way at this point of time. So that's the idea we have in mind.
Have you decided on a location where would you set up?
Not yet.
Currently, the government schemes and programs, are they conducive for you? Or are they suitable for you to set up industry in India? Because pretty much you keep listening to people moving to China and other places for cutting down cost. I mean, I would personally want you to be in India, but are the programs conducive for you? Or if not, what kind of support do you think you need for setting up the industry in India?
So, if I talk about governmental support, we have received a lot of support from NITI Aayog. But in terms of concrete financial support or any kind of incentives, that is yet to be seen. And as we always say that individuals or companies in India grow despite of the government. So that's what we are banking upon. But let's see. Hope the idea and the inclination is to do it in India. But unless and until there is the right kind of support in the ecosystem and the government can really push for it, we'll have to obviously weigh down our options.
And what kind of investment would you be needing to set up your own manufacturing plant?
So we're doing an extensive study on that, trying to figure out what kind of capex and infrastructure is required. and coming up with a detailed plan, and we're working with significant consultants on that front as well. So that data will be available to us in the next couple of months.
And one of the major things for you to keep your cost under check would be the supply of raw material. Are you already working on that in terms of identifying the source and also tying up your supply chain? Because that would play a key role in your cost.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as far as the supply chain is concerned, so most of the raw materials that we want for our system is available within India. So that's a good part, and we really need to. I don't recall any particular raw material that would be imported from outside. Apart from the reason that okay, you might need an electronic gadget as part of the whole system, which is cheaply available from outside. But if you talk about the core of the technology, which is the fuel cell itself, all the raw materials of the fuel cell are available, very well available within India. So from that perspective, supply chain should not be a problem.
Could you talk about what valuation did they invest into you? How much did they invest into you? If it is not confidential.
Yeah, so basically, Sequoia Surge and Xfinity Ventures invested $3.5 million into the company, and so that was in September, between September October of last year. Valuation, unfortunately, I'll not be able to disclose at this point of time, but that's the investment that we received.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask Akshay. You said that the procurement of the sourcing of the raw material in India would be easier, and when we talk of the existing solution in electric cars, that is the lithium-ion batteries, sourcing is a challenge of lithium and cobalt. So, other than that advantage, what are the other advantages of the aluminum fuel cells over the lithium-ion batteries?
Yeah, so if you look at aluminum fuel cell, there are many advantages over the lithium-ion battery technology because it's a power generating solution. So that basically means is that you have a fuel which you can use to generate power, and that means that you don't need any charging. So the charging time gets completely removed. At the same time, the need for charging infrastructure gets removed, and all you need is a supply of solid aluminum fuel, which can be made available at the existing fuel stations itself. The second part is that the range that you get on the vehicle is far beyond what the current electric vehicles can provide. So with aluminum fuel cell, you're looking at a range of more than 1,000 kilometers. So even your intercity vehicles, for example, if you're going from Delhi to Mumbai, so right now you cannot use the electric vehicle because where will you charge it, and the time it will take for you to charge and then go again will end up taking you 10 days to reach from Delhi to Mumbai. Whereas with this technology, you can directly go from Delhi to Mumbai without having to even refuel once on the way. Yeah, so in terms of weight, the total weight of the aluminum fuel cell required for a similar kind of vehicle would be around 30 to 40% less as compared to lithium-ion. But in terms of volume, obviously it is 10 to 15% more in volume. So, but that could be very well accommodated.
So, how is your relationship? Could you talk about a little bit about that between you and the Sequoia, your team and Sequoia, and how are they helping you beyond investment?
As I mentioned, immediately after the investment, we were part of the Surge program. So that gives you a lot of insights into how to scale the business further, what things to be taken care of, what to watch out for, and what is the right strategy to build your team, right strategy to build your pricing models, right strategy to build your sales channels, distributions, and all of that stuff. So that has been very helpful. They have been very engaging during the Surge program. Also, I would like to talk about Xfinity Ventures, which is our second investor. They have been involved with the business. They've been able to help us out with the right kind of connects, talking to the right kind of influencers, and getting help from them, and getting validation, because validation in such kind of technology, as I mentioned earlier, is very important. And there are various industry connects that they've been able to bring to the table, by which we can take this product faster to market. So a lot of our field trials and other stuff that is scheduled is through the interventions of Xfinity Ventures.
All through your journey between 2015 to till you met Sequoia and other investors, did you ever have a mentor to work with?
Yes, we have had mentors on the way. and one of them has been Professor Ashok Mishra, who was the ex director of IIT Bombay, and then he was chairman of the board of governors of he has been quite helpful and in terms of validating technology, guiding us in the right direction, because he also comes from the materials polymers background. So he was one of the strong pillar that we could depend upon during our early days. And also we had other advisors, so to say mentors, on the way, helping us out with smaller bits and pieces.